probably have a different story as to how they fell in it. Most people who go into family law didn't do it by design. We all kind of fall into it for one reason or another. I had a tremendous interest in business and corporate work and real estate work when I went to law school. And I got lucky enough to be offered a judicial clerkship when I was leaving law school. The judge I happened to clerk for, who wound up being the third most important adult in my life, also happened to be sitting in family law that year. And I said to him, this is not what I want to do. And so he told me, stick it out, try it, and I liked it. And so I wound up staying with it at a very young age. The reason I liked it was real. It was not only real, but it was real important.
Exactly.
Because,
not money, huh?
Because you are affecting people's lives for the rest of their lives.
He's rich. No. Go ahead. No.
But what you're doing is you're affecting people's lives for the rest of their lives.
Yes,
you know, you're going to try to take them at a point in time that is the emotional and financial low of their lives usually, and try to give them light at the end of the tunnel. You can't fix it, you can't make it better. The only thing you can realistically hope to do is give them light at the end of the tunnel, and that's really what you're trying to achieve.
God.
That's good.
God, he's marvelous. You know? And the church said, amen. I like this. You sort of hit on my next question, which was, is it a difficult field of law?
Oh, it's a horribly difficult field of law. But it's also probably the most rewarding, because when you do your job well, and you have been constructive instead of destructive in a case, you know that you have served someone well and you've done a good deed. It's nice to be compensated for it, of course, but but the goal is to do your job well, know that you're doing the right thing. Legally and morally correct are often two different things, but you try to make the two be the same, because most law comes from morals. And so what you try to do is just do the right thing so that someone is in a better position than when they came to you. And you take all the bad and filter it out when you have those few spots of good. And you know, there are times you have to turn this off. It's very difficult. You have gut-wrenching stories you're hearing every day. People are devastated. You know, the analogy I often use is something to either an oncologist or a surgeon in emergency surgery. You're dealing with people's heartache all day long. And so you have to, number one, be able to turn it off. And number two, take the good and recognize the bad has to be there in order for you to do the good.
That's true.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. One thing about family law is that you have a whole group of children who are affected by the breakup or the divorce, and like in juvenile court or in prison or in jail, almost 80% of the people there were children of divorce or children of absent fathers, children of alcoholic mothers. And so the divorce lawyer is to try to really to save the children, because they're going to be the society in the next generation.
And the problem I think that most litigants have in family law is they are not recognizing fast enough how their fight impacts their children. You know, everybody wants to win. This isn't about winning, because nobody wins anyway.
That's right.
What you really need to do with respect to the kids is come up with something that's reasonable. If it's an extra day here, an extra day there, what difference does it really make? If your kids are happy and see you working together, that's really all that matters.
Wow. Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah, people are affected by what happens to them in the first 13 or 14 years of their life, and it sets the course and the way. And the children are suffer the most in divorces. Because I have a lot of children. See.
I was going to say, now, you gave a speech once to teenagers, and what were your 4 points?
Well, because it wasn't in family law. It was, well, one of the points the other thing is I've been teaching Sunday school for 62 years, and I teach the senior highs, so I'm very concerned about that age group, and therefore they are an impressionable age. And so I try to give them some guidelines. Most of us grew up where no one told us anything. We grew up and made mistakes, but one was to set career goals, you know, set a goal, shoot for the stars. You can't go somewhere if you don't have a dream of going that direction. And then I had other points. One is to you know, have have integrity, be honest, tell the truth, be on time. Which I say, you know, come early so you can be on time. Because you find in life, you find some people are always 10 minutes late. And I always wondered about that. In court, some lawyers are always 10 minutes late. And I was wondering, if they know they're going to be 10 minutes, why not come, you know, 15 minutes early so that you can make it on time. But anyway, the young people need to value the instructions that they are receiving. They need to have be dedicated to a great cause. They need, of course, church and God in their life. See, I was in criminal like 20 years, and I never had the defendant who was a good church member. I never had one defendant out of maybe 5,000 that even had a pastor. So most young people who are centered in the church usually stay out of juvenile hall, stay out of trouble altogether.
Wow,
It's
that's
amazing.
powerful.
Yeah.
That's really something. And really quickly, I have to thank the ladies that stand behind these men so that they can come back again. I'd like to thank Mrs. Mathews for, she's with us in the studio. She's not on camera, but she's with us. I'd like to thank Susie, Dr. George Fischbeck's wife, and I'd like to thank Holly for sharing you with us. You know, Mark was on the edge of his chair when you were making a few points, so I'm going to ask him a few more. He looks like he was ready to talk, so I like this. What issues come up in your practice? I mean,
Well, a family law practice is going to take a wide array of issues, whether it's custody, some cases where there's no marriage, whether someone is a father or not a father to a particular child. You're going to deal with financial issues in terms of property division, support issues, and, you know, unfortunately, oftentimes restraining orders where there's acts of violence. So we deal with a wide array of issues. One of the interesting things about family law is, you know, in today's age, most attorneys, or a significant portion of the population of attorneys, are specializing in particular fields. We don't have the general practitioners nearly as common as we used to. But the interesting thing about a family law lawyer is a family law lawyer, to some degree, has to have the general knowledge of a family law, of a general practitioner, because we see a complete spectrum of issues. You have issues where someone has a personal injury case that is getting divorced. You have to know the basics of the law there. You need to know a little bit of criminal law here and there, because if someone has done something inappropriate, what they can and can't say. You need to know contract law. You need to know virtually every area of law in order to effectively be a good divorce lawyer. But by the same token, one of the major things I missed was taxes. You know, taxes have huge impact on everything, so you have to have a decent understanding of the tax code. So while we deal with a narrow body of law and a narrow body of issues, we have to deal with the entire spectrum of law, at least have the basic working knowledge of it to know to spot the issues.
now this is a really interesting question. I like this one. How do you handle a situation when you're representing someone who you know is not doing the right thing or telling the truth?
Well, particularly when it relates to kids, that's a problem. The first thing I usually do is have a heart-to-heart with them and say, look, it's your case, you can do what you want, you're a big boy, you're a big girl, it's your decision. I just can't support what you're doing. And here's what I think, and here's what I see as the long-range impact, as we were talking a few minutes ago about the acrimony between people, the effect it has on kids. And so you try to get them to see the light. Honestly, often they won't. And then you are at a crossroads, and you have to make a decision. Are you going to support this person in what you believe may not be the right thing to do for the benefit of their child? Or are you going to get out? And frankly, there's an answer on both sides. Because if you get out, the person they go to may not have the same credo or the same moral, and therefore are just going to perpetuate it to an exaggerated degree. And so sometimes you have to just bite the bullet and say, I'm going to try and control this person's inappropriate actions as best as possible, protect them from the judicial system, and protect their children from them. So sometimes you stay in and sometimes you get out, but sometimes you get to the point where you just have to get out.
Wow.
That's rough. That's a hard situation to be in. And the other thing that you probably run across quite a bit is, this is interesting, what can someone do if they don't want to get a divorce? Because you've got two parties, and it takes two people to get married, but it only takes one person to to get a divorce?
I wrote an article recently on the same subject.